What's going on, everyone? Narukami here, back again with another video, and today I have for you guys part 3 into my Ibuki guide. For today's part, I will be covering Ibuki's V skills, and before I start this video, I want to say this: if you guys haven't already checked out part 1 and part 2, I encourage you to check them out. Part 1 covers her buttons, part 2 covers her special. Both of them are up on the channel, and this is all going to lead into each other, and so I think you would be missing a big portion of information if you didn't watch those first and then come to this V skill guide. So with all the boring stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this guide. Before I actually start covering her V skills, I just want to give you guys a quick overview on how to do V skill. For those of you that don't know, how to do it is you hit both medium punch and medium kick, and depending on your V skill, Ibuki is going to do a different thing. And currently I have V skill 1, and so when I hit those buttons, it's going to do that. So the first V skill I'm going to be covering is Ibuki's V skill 1, which is her Tenrai. This V skill is what I like to call the neutral V skill, because it's basically the one that you kind of use as a neutral poke, and it is also the one that you want to use if you want to build your game plan around V trigger usage, because you're going to get plenty of opportunities to use this V skill, and I'm going to explain the opportunities and the situations you can use it in a little bit later. But first, I want to talk about the properties of this V skill. So Ibuki's V skill 1 has two different versions. If you just tap medium punch and medium kick once, then you're just gonna get this version, which is like a little tap version. Now if you hold it a little bit more, you get like a second level 2 charge version. I think I might have did the full charge version. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, so that one's a little bit more charge. And then now if you hold it down fully, you get a fully charged version. So she has 3 different versions, and they all have the same properties on them. When you hit it, all of them are going to cause this little sway back, which I will explain which that can be used for again later. And they all have the ability to nullify projectiles. Now, although Ibuki's V skill 1 does have the ability to negate projectiles, I'm not really gonna suggest that you use it in a fireball raw, because it's really slow and it definitely can get you punished if you miss time the V skill to clash with the fireball. So as mentioned before, Ibuki's V skill 1 causes her to sway whenever she does it. What this essentially allows you to do, it allows you to use her V skill both offensively and defensively. So how do you use this offensively? Well, if you're playing neutral in this mid range right here, or like character starting position, you can just kind of throw it out there, and if it hits your opponent, it will cause them to get knocked down, because the sway, it will allow you to kind of dodge your opponent's pokes if they choose to poke in a range in which you do it, and their normal may connect if you were to just stand there. But if you do the V skill, it's going to essentially allow you to whiff punish the normal. So the other way that you can use this offensively is you can do it during block strings, and essentially it will cover the same functionality that it would in neutral if your opponent chooses to poke, and it will whiff punish their normal attempt if they try to mash out of your block strings. So one thing to note is, if that you choose to use this offensively, the opponent can jump in on you, because Ibuki is left vulnerable when she does her V skill 1. Now that pretty much covers the offensive usage. Let's talk about defensive usage. Again, similarly to the offensive usage, it's pretty much going to accomplish the same thing, but on the defensive end, and it basically allows you to get out of your opponent's block strings and create the same situation you would get if you were doing a neutral, such as a knockdown and the V meter gain. So yeah, that pretty much covers V-Skill 1. As mentioned before, it is the neutral V-Skill, and it is definitely the one you want to build your game plan on if you want to use V-Trigger, because it gives you the most opportunities to use it and to gain that precious V meter. So now let's talk about V-Skill 2. Unfortunately, V-Skill 2 doesn't give you the exact sort of thing that V-Skill 1 gives you in regards to being able to use it in neutral and being able to use it on the defensive end. And it doesn't give you the opportunity to build V-Trigger as fast as you would if you were using V-Skill 1. But what it does make up for in the lack of being able to build V-Trigger, it essentially basically gives you a mini V-Trigger mix-up at the cost of 1 EX bar, both in the corner and mid screen. Some quick things to note about its properties is, just like V-Skill 1, it does have a hold and a non-hold version, but one unique thing that V-Skill 2 does have is that it has 3 different strengths depending on the button that you do. So if you do V-Skill 1 in punch, light punch, it tosses out the caltrop right in front of her. If you do V-Skill in medium punch, it basically kind of tosses it close to character starting position. If you do V-Skill and heavy punch, it pretty much tosses it character starting position. Just like I mentioned earlier, it does have a hold version. If you hold it down, she tosses out 3 of them, and they are all 3 of the strengths that she would do if she just hit the button separately. So a thing to note about Ibuki's V-Skill 2 is that it is essentially like her kunai in that it is basically kind of a hit projectile when she is tossing it out there, but once she tosses it out on the ground, the opponent can no longer hit the V-Skill. Another thing to note about Ibuki's V-Skill 2 is that it can be countered from her grounded kunai, both regular and the EX version. It can also be countered off of her kunai release special. So yeah, that pretty much covers Ibuki's V-Skill 2. There are no mix-ups in this part particular because I wanted to save that for another part, and I just wanted to give you some basic knowledge and overview of what V-Skill 2 is and the properties that it has. So with both of the V-Skills covered, which one would I personally recommend? Well, for me personally, I would say it depends on the type of playstyle that you want to do with your Ibuki. If you want to play like a neutral solid game plan, then you use V-Skill 1. If you want to play a more mix-up heavy Ibuki, then you go for V-Skill 2, but you can get strong mix-ups with Ibuki's V-Skill 1, but they're locked behind V-Trigger, but the V-Skill 2 doesn't lock the mix-ups behind V-Trigger. So you basically want to weigh which one you want to do, so whether you want the mix-ups in V-Trigger or whether you want the mix-ups at any time. Now I personally use V-Skill 1 because I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. I think V-Skill 2 is kind of trash, and this is from somebody that has used V-Skill 2 heavily at one point. There was a point where I was using nothing but V-Skill 2, and I found that it was sort of limiting my game because I felt that Ibuki needed those extra tools, and so I kind of leaned towards V-Skill 1, and I think V-Skill 1 is the better option because it can be used both offensively and defensively. Well, anyways guys, that's the video. That's it. If you enjoyed this part, leave a like on the video because not only does it help me know that this is helpful to you guys, it also helps the guides get out there to the algorithm so we can help level up everyone else's Ibuki. Also, leave a comment down below as well too, and if you haven't already guys, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We are pushing out bangers 2 times a week, every Tuesday and Friday, and also click that notification bell to get a notification for whenever I drop another upload, because it's going to be very important that you do that, because I'm not really sure when part 4 is going to be out. It could be out next week. It could be out 2 weeks from now, but I will however say that part 4 will definitely be done and uploaded on my channel before the end of the year. Well, anyways guys, remember the 2 greatest commandments of all: love the Lord God with all your heart, love your neighbor as yourself. Take care, and I will see you guys in another video. Peace.